Call the meeting of the fiscal court to order. Good to see everybody here this morning. Bob Johnson, head of our cemetery committee, is asked to address the court this morning. Bob?
Yes, I'll make it short. Since budget cuts, we're out of money, pretty bluntly, and we would ask if y'all happen to have any extra funding through the year, we would appreciate it.
All right, you finished, did y'all finish that big project, that one big project you was telling me about, Bob, at,
Not yet, but that's gonna wipe us out.
That's gonna wipe you out
Yeah.
when they finish that one.
Right.
How many cemeteries have we cleaned since y'all have been, the board's been, organized?
Oh, I couldn't tell you, it's hundreds, probably.
Yeah, I know, there's been a lot. Certainly we'll keep that in mind, and I appreciate all the work y'all have done. I guess what we'd have to do, if anybody has a request, they just continue to make it to the committee and keep a listing of, as money becomes available, what we can do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Bob. Marty Johnson, the city attorney, is here this morning. Mr. Johnson?
I'm here for a request of the mayor.
All right. We'll yield the floor to you.
Well, I think there've been some questions, or several people had questioned about our involvement with the refuse disposal district, and we had gone back and looked at that issue, and hopefully we can clear up any misunderstanding that people may have had about that. But this was formed, if I recall correctly, it was in 1968. And our first involvement was the appointment of a representative for the position that the city had on that district. And our first appointment was made in 1968, Mr. Guy Mathis. And as far as we can tell now, we haven't finished all the way up to current. But we've got through the lady that's doing it over there, and I don't think really understood how much involvement that was, but we've gotten through 1990. And we've had a representative on the board all the time. And I think what is occurring, and from what I see in the minutes, is we do make an appointment, and sometimes that person serves for 7 or 8 years before he comes back up for reconsideration. And that's just because of inattentiveness on our part. But we've always had a representative on the district. And it is a position that we're entitled to have because we're paying the tax. And we do have representation on the board. So I don't know if there's anybody that has a misunderstanding about that, or we can probably, and they're gonna complete this, and I'll make all that available to Jeff if you want me to. Copies of all the documentation that we have.
Well, Marty, who was serving on behalf of the city prior to, I guess, prior to this last appointment that came into question?
Well, that's what she hadn't finished all those records yet, but I'll get them all to Jeff's.
Okay.
So we start in 68, and we have had representation on the board all the way through.
I guess my question is, the way the statute reads is that the mayor actually makes that appointment. And when I spoke with the mayor, he wasn't aware that he had a representative. He said that the judge told him he had one, but he wasn't aware of that. So this is mayor's second, third term?
Second.
So I'm guessing, though, that if that would have been his designee, he would have known that.
Should have. I'll be honest with you, should have. What we find is, and you'll find yourself, and I think we've found it a lot over the years, that we'll make an appointment, and that person serves until they're actually replaced.
Mm-hmm.
But we had, I think Mr. Powell, Wayne Powell served for, seemed to me like 16 years total, through that.
But this court appointed Mr. Newton.
year.
This court appointed Mr. Newton.
Well, I'm not aware of what y'all have done. I'm just trying to document and get.
Sure,
the
I
records.
know it's come into question, and I just wanted you to know that's why it's come into question, is
Okay.
because we have records that indicate the court appointed Mr. Newton, not the city. So if we're saying that it was a city representative, then to me, the mayor would have known that was his designee, or the prior mayor would have made that appointment, but neither of those happened. The fiscal court appointed him, so I'm not sure how we transition him now to a city designee. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying, yes, ma'am.
But did the mayor and the city council,
Yes, they did confirm the appointment at the last, and I would assume that's valid, but we'll just have to look into it.
Sure.
But we'll have, complete documentation of all the records all the way through.
That'd be good. Thank you.
thank you, Marty. All right, let's move into correspondence from the First Baptist Church from Don Wilson. Dear Judge Miller, as you know, First Baptist Church is engaged in local ministries to help feed the people in Marshall County. We support Marshall County Caring Need Line, Marcella's Kitchen, the local 4-H Snack Pack Ministry, and the Benton Central Resource Center in providing food for a number of families with whom they work. In addition to this, we consistently provide food through our own food pantry. We are also engaged in a ministry in eastern Kentucky that weekly provides backpacks filled with food for hundreds of school children in that region of the state. This ministry is presently engaged in moving its storage facilities to our state. We have learned the county may have acquired some pallets in the past year that they are presently not using. Some of our people who work with this ministry said they would be ideal to help with the storage of the food for the ministry in eastern Kentucky, of which we are a part. I would appreciate you approaching our county government officials to see if we could use them. If you have any further questions concerning this, David and Martha Puckett are the people to ask, as they are directly involved in this ministry. Thank you so very much for your help and assistance in this matter. I think rather than pallets, these are, what do you call them, Russell? Pallet racks that were over at the building we acquired. We don't use them, have no use for them, and they would like to use them, not so much give them to them, but loan them to them for their use in this ministry. I've checked with our departments, and nobody seems to have a need for them. So if there's no objection, we'll loan them to that ministry until such time there is a need. We can always ask for them back. Anybody have a problem with that?
No, sir.
Yeah, need a motion, Judge?
Yeah,
Make
let's-
a motion to allow them to use those pallet racks until such time as we need them.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. From the Delta Regional Authority, this is DRA Project 10737. Dear Judge Miller, on behalf of the Delta Regional Authority, Federal Co-Chairman Chris Massengill, I'm pleased to inform you that all executed grant documents have been returned and that you are now authorized to proceed with the project. Please note that you are subject to the Office of Management and Budget Administrative Requirements found in Circular A-102 and cost principles found in Circular 2 CRF 225. A copy of all contracts from general and subcontractors should be provided to this office as they become available. No project cost incurred prior to the date listed above should be submitted to DRA for reimbursement without prior approval. Additionally, your obligation to begin submitting quarterly reporting forms should include the quarter ending 9/30/2012. Good luck with your project. If you have any questions, please contact Brad Davis with the Purchase Area Development District, who will be servicing the grant for the Delta Regional Authority. I will be in contact with Brad in the coming days to offer any support that he or his staff may need. This is a project that will be used in the wastewater treatment plant and lift station rehab project over in Sanitation District Number 1 in Aurora, which is badly needed. June, as you know, we service Ken Lake State Park, and the plant is about 34, almost 35 years old, I guess, isn't it, June? It was before you became manager, wasn't it? when Julian Carroll was governor, when we first built that. So, we'll let, the folks over at Aurora know. I guess they're already aware, Josh, that, they can proceed now.
As far as I know, Judge, I can call Les and let him know.
All right, thank you. From Barney Thweet. Dear Mike, since I will not be a property owner in the Fair-Dealing Olive Fire District as of September 1, 2012, I regret having to submit my resignation as a member of the board. I have served on numerous boards in my life, but never have I worked with a group of men and women who were more dedicated, unselfish, willing to serve, and use better judgment in decisions. I will recommend Lyle Anderson, Shore Lane, Benton, Kentucky, to replace me on the board. Lyle has been very active in our homeowners association and Kentucky Lake subdivision for several years. He is a good listener, a good leader, and I believe would be a capable member of the board. My time on the board has been very rewarding. I think Chief John Smith does an outstanding job and has the respect of the firemen. This is from Barney Thweet. Barney and his wife are moving into Benton and selling their place out in Kentucky Lake subdivision. He has talked to Mr. Anderson, and apparently Mr. Anderson has agreed to serve out the unfinished term of Barney, and I would certainly recommend Barney's recommendation. Bob, that's in, you and Terry, I guess, split that district. Is that yours, Terry, that area? Do you know Lyle?
No, I'm not related to him.
No, I didn't know him. Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah.
I actually don't know him either. Okay. So I'd make a motion that we appoint Mr. Anderson, Lyle Anderson, to the Fairland Olive Fire Board.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. To whom it may concern, please accept this request for the resignation and removal of Thomas Galen Edwards from the Marsh County Refuse District Board of Directors effective immediately due to declining health. Galen is not doing well. Of course, he's, like Jeff said, he's fooled us before and made comebacks, but they're not giving us a lot of encouragement at this time. So I would reluctantly accept the resignation of Galen from the Refuge Board. And I would ask that the board be considering someone to replace him at a later time. Okay. One other thing, I did get and I didn't bring it in with me. Got an email from Chris Smithmeyer, and Chris was concerned since the vote on the wet-dry issue was very close, and it was a divisive, I guess you could call it, situation. The people have spoken, the votes have been counted, and now's the time for us to come together as a community and work for the betterment of our county. I know there was some sharp words spoken during the campaign on both sides, and Happy Chandler used to say, when the people of Kentucky speak, I hear no other voice. Well, the people of Marshall County has spoken. The vote is over, and now it's time to get on about the business of our community and our county, and hopefully that's exactly what we'll do. All right, let's move into old business. You've all received the minutes of the July 3rd meeting of the fiscal court. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes of the meeting? Oh, I'm sorry, Mark.
I need to report on one matter
Okay.
involving the Industrial Foundation, and then
Oh.
if that's okay with you all, I'll
Yes.
get on back to work.
Okay.
You know, I was here about, I guess it's about 3 weeks ago, and I asked for your all's permission to engage someone to survey the Fleetwood property so we could get that finalized, get a deed to it. Josh and I have been working on that, and we've gotten, Mr. Carl Holt was engaged to do the survey, and I think they finished that field work last week. So we're waiting now to get a description and a computer printout of the description of that property. And it will involve the entire tracts, all 4 of the tracts within the fencing out there. And the reason that we've been having some concern about it is they had bought some property that they didn't put under the lease with us. And so we've had that loose end out there, and we did not want to get title to just part of the property. We wanted the entire thing, because that was their intent from the outset. So we should have that finished this week, and if we do, that description will be prepared, the deed will be sent to California. There's a bankruptcy trustee that's working with us to get the property cleared out. And then this is the last hurdle we've got, I think, to us getting that cleared up. Then we'll have, Josh will have access to that property, and we'll be able to, you know, start showing it and using it as a tool for attracting economic development.
How long have we been working on this, Marty?
About 3 years.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
When they filed
At least.
bankruptcy, of course, we did the title work, and they, we sent it out there to them and requested that we be permitted to abrogate that lease, and then let us go ahead then and assume the responsibility for the property. And they refused at the time because they knew they had some additional property in there. But we've got all that resolved now, and if we get this deed, I think we'll have.
Are we still dealing with the bank in Charleston, West Virginia?
Yes, they represent the bondholders, and they're the bondholders of the people that bought the bonds that Fleetwood issued. Well, actually were issued by the county, but not on the county's credit. And it was issued on Fleetwood's credit, and that lease was the strength of the payment and obligated to pay. And they renounced those bonds when they filed bankruptcy. And so we've been working with them. They, of course, they're excited about getting to the end of it too. They've been without interest payments for over 3 years. So hopefully we'll get this wrapped up for maybe about the last of September. We should have everything resolved, and then we'll hopefully put Josh in the driver's seat out there, and maybe we can get somebody interested in that plant. We've had a number of inquiries, but it was one of those things that you just couldn't answer the questions because we couldn't tell them when they were going to be able to get in the building. So hopefully this will solve that problem.
Right. Legally, we couldn't market it or really legally even show it.
Not while it's in bankruptcy.
We've had several people that have shown interest over the years, but we were not in a position to make any sort of an offer or let them even make an offer to us, so.
And we've even put them in touch with the bankruptcy people out there. Hopefully, we thought maybe we could bypass all that, but it didn't work out. It was too complicated to try to deal with it in the bankruptcy case. Nobody wanted to back that book. But hopefully, we'll be able to, maybe by the end of September, have that matter resolved and have Josh in the driver's seat.
All right, thank you.
I'll adjourn.
We advertised in our paper of record, bid opening on surplus property. I beg? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
I just have
Motion.
one correction, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's right there, it says, on page 4, it just makes reference to he, but it almost looks like Jeff recused himself, you know what I mean? I reminded Mr. Edwards that he recused himself, but he was Terry. Does that make sense? Like if somebody was reading that, Commissioner Drew reminded Mr. Edwards that he recused himself. If we just change he to specify who that is. You think, yeah, that's all. It's just clarification of who someone is when I use the word he, and it was in reference to you on page 4. It says that I reminded Mr. Edwards that he recused himself, but for somebody that's not familiar, they might think that I meant county attorney recused himself during the North Marshall water, and I was talking about you.
All right, with that correction, All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. We did advertise in our paper of record, Tribune Courier, Marshall County Fiscal Court. And I've dropped my opener. I don't know what I did with it. There it is. We'll be accepting sealed bids until 9 a.m. on Tuesday, July 17th, during regular office hours at the Office of County Judge Executive, 1101 Main, Benton, Kentucky, for the following: a tract of land located on the west side of Highway 1824 near the Marshall County, Callaway County line. The property was formerly known as the Hardin Conservation Club and is approximately 5 acres. Bids will be opened during the court meeting on July 24th. The Marshall County Fiscal Court reserves the right to reject any and all bids. We did have several inquiries, but we only have 3 bids. The first bid, we would like to submit in the amount of $7,500 to purchase the 5 acres located near Hardin, Kentucky, advertised for bid for July 17th, 2012. This is from Earl and Karen McLeod, 3012 Main, Benton, Kentucky. $7,500. Ronald Hargis of 3342 Slickback Road, Benton, Kentucky, bid $6,511. $6,511. From Jerry and Ann Darnell of Hardin, $6,500. So the apparent high bid is from Earl and Karen McLeod in the amount of $7,500. What's the pleasure of the court?
Does the PVA, was that a fair assessment of that property, Judge, you know?
I think they had it assessed at $6,000.
I believe that's right.
I believe that's what he told us.
What do you think about it?
I don't know, I think it's water on one corner of it, that's $1,500 an acre there, but I'm not sure you'll beat that. Well, what else you do, real estate's gonna take a portion of it, you know, if you put it in real estate, you auction it, I mean, they're gonna get a portion of it. I'm not sure what it'll bring.
I'd
Well,
make a
when we
motion to
talk
sell
about-
it, Judge.
All right, we have a motion that we sell that property to Earl and Karen McLeod for $7,500. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on the motion?
None.
Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Yeah,
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. We had tabled the refuse board appointment, and until Marty finishes his assessment, do you want to hold off on that?
I think we need to get to the bottom of all that before we move. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Whatever everybody wants to do.
Well, and to me, I mean, it's more than just whether or not it's a city designee, it's the actions of the board. I don't know how you all feel, but for me, it's what you recommended last time was that we have some sort of investigation
Yeah.
into what actually happened with all the scrap metal, and I know Jeff's recused, so that leaves us without counsel. He recommended we get counsel, so I'm not sure what our next, I mean, is that what we need to do, is recommend?
If you need counsel.
I'm not an attorney. It appears to me that there's concerns obviously out there, but I'm not an attorney, so I don't know.
What, did you recommended last meeting that we obtain counsel as soon as possible, was that correct?
Right, yes, I would say that.
How do we go about that?
Well, you can, that's something you don't, I mean, it's not something that has to be bid or anything like that. You can just do it on an as-needed basis, however you choose that you want to set it up.
So basically what the court needs to do is agree upon someone.
Yes.
Is that
We-
something we discuss, is that something we can discuss in executive session, so we're not having, I don't know if that's an executive session privilege,
Well,
but
that's
it's
kind of a
almost,
personnel issue.
okay.
If you're gonna hire someone to represent the court, that would be personnel, so
Okay.
it could be talked about in executive session.
Can we add that to today's executive session list, Judge?
Right. We can.
So you want a motion to table that?
Yes, I do.
I make a motion to table the refuge board appointment.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no.
Jeff, where does that leave us on the status of our board? I mean, if the reappointments are tabled, do we not have those people serving on the board
They
currently?
serve until a successor is appointed.
Yeah.
So they continue to serve?
They do.
Until, okay,
Not only that board, all boards.
okay.
Right.
All right, we have the official certification. We, the undersigned, do hereby certify that the preceding election results are accurate and complete for the special election held on July 17th, 2012. This is signed by everybody involved. We have to certify this, I guess, to the Election Commission, that we have received the results. Being no, 6,906, yes, 6,211. And I think we just have to accept this from the Marshall County Election Commission, which is the sheriff, and the representatives of the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, and Tim. Is that correct? And they've all signed? So,
Motion, so it'll be in the order book.
so we need a motion to accept
Make a motion, we accept
the official certification.
official certification by the election commission.
All right,
Second.
motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Any other old business?
I just had a question. Did we get a finalized description to put the issue of the nuisance property, the removal of the abandoned mobile homes? Did we?
I've got one that's workable.
Okay.
That I will use based on what we have, but I'm, you know, the basic requirements are there.
Okay.
With the insurance and proof of all that stuff,
Okay.
basically, kinda like our construction contract.
Do you think by like next meeting we
Yes,
could
I'm
have that?
ready to go
Okay.
on that.
I know you've been gone. I just wanted to follow up.
Any other old business? Let's move into new business. We have a rescue squad affiliation agreement and a SARS coordinator agreement. SARS being our search and rescue coordinator, which is Tim Brinkley. And I would recommend Tim for reappointment as our SARS coordinator and our rescue squad affiliation agreement. But we will need a motion on
Make
it.
a motion to approve those.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. We have had, and I'll need, and I guess she's in her office. No, there she is. Okay, I didn't see you sitting over there. I'm sorry. Going to executive session, we do have that land acquisition demo grant that we need to talk about to make sure we are going into it because money will be expended. It's up to the court, though, whether or not we'll do it, and I've asked Melissa to explain that to us. So I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
We have a motion, second.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. Witt, don't go far. I may need you to clarify another issue involving personnel while we're in executive session. Emily, I'll need you as well.
Okay.
Up at the next meeting of the fiscal court to decide whether or not we want to participate. The turnaround supposedly would be 30 to 60 days. Wendy, am I correct in that? But our history with FEMA reimbursement has not been that quick of a turnaround. And we're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 front money for this, so we want to look at it very carefully before we decide. Another issue is to whether or not we owe 2 weeks payment to the gentleman that contracted to do our mowing and has since is no longer doing that. He did start before the time, which was in April 1st, I believe, Larry, but we started about mid-March. But there were periods there when his equipment was in the shop and did no mowing, so we're not really of the opinion that we owe him anything, but we'll give him the opportunity to come before the court to make his claim if he feels like that he has a just claim. Larry's kept records, so we pretty well know when mowing was done and when it was not. But we'll give him that opportunity if he wants to come before the next session of the court. East Marshall Fire Protection District, we have their summary of their financial statement and their budget for the coming year. Total revenues looks like it's $301,299.12. Total expenditures looks like $369,514.69, but they also have a carryover of $194,364.70, making their total cash available $495,633.82. So I would entertain a motion to accept the budget and the financial statement of the East Marshall Fire Protection District.
Make that motion, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Now,
Your Honor, or Judge, while you're on that subject, I have the letters I've sent, or am sending regarding the remaining taxing districts and the requirement that they file their budgets with the fiscal court. Those are copies for the fiscal court.
all right. These are the, and I don't know why they're late. They normally do this. The only one I can't remember getting is the Housing Authority. I don't ever remember getting one from them, do we, Melanie, normally?
We have in the past, but
We
it's
have.
taken several times to try to.
Okay. So the ones that have not complied at this point is Elva, New Harmony, Oak Level, Fair Dealing Olive, Aurora Ross. Now, I met with Chief yesterday, and Chief Searles did file his electronically, and they say they didn't get it, so he's sending by mail, hard copy, with the return, make sure they got it. Because Ricky said, you know, I've done this before electronically, and they've always accepted it. Somehow, they say they didn't get it, so anyway, Ricky's on top of that. It goes to the Department for Local Government, and then it's shared with the State Auditor's Office.
Did he send that certified? Is
That's
that
what
he
he's
said?
going, that's what he's going to do. He filed it electronically.
I've tried that in the past. They won't accept certified mail.
They won't sign for it.
They won't sign for it. They sure won't. Because I've run into that when I send in my stuff that I have to send in to them. They won't accept anything certified that they have to sign for. You can send it priority to know it got there, but they won't sign for it.
Well, I
So
better
I'll-
let Ricky know when
Yeah,
you send it
I'll let
priority.
him know that, yeah.
Okay. And the other one is the Benton Housing Authority. Okay. All right, Treasurer's Report, Emily?
This is my treasurer's settlement for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2012. General fund ended with a cash
Hold on
balance.
just a minute. This is, which one am I looking at? This is
There,
it?
page,
Three?
one more page. Page 4. I'll go over the recap of the funds. General fund ended with a cash balance of $116,199. Road fund ended with a cash balance of $283,774. Jail fund ended with a cash balance of $164,929. Grant fund ended with a cash balance of $6,527. Cherokee Park fund ended with 0. Occupational tax fund ended with, it says -1, that's due to rounding, that where it rounds for the pennies, so it ended with a 0 balance. 911 fund is a cash balance of $168,272. Occupational
Whoa,
tax.
whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm showing the 911 fund, 169,089. Is that?
I'm looking at cash balance, that
Oh,
includes the
cash balance. Oh,
outstanding
okay.
checks.
All right, okay.
Cash balance for the occupational tax administrator, $1,410,311. Veterans van fund, cash balance of $3,053. Wireless E911 fund, 0, because that was merged into the 911 fund. A recap of all the funds, cash balance, June 30th, 2012 was $2,153,064 with outstanding checks of $444,765 for a bank balance of $2,597,829.
All right. I'd entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report subject to audit.
Motion, Judge.
A motion, is there a second? Second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Intra-fund transfer, no, payroll fund, accounts receivable.
Payroll fund accounts receivable report, the sheriff at this time owes $523,130.40, and the county attorney's office owes $8,564.75.
Any questions? All right. Intra-fund transfers.
Intra-fund transfer, I'm asking to move $200,000 out of the occupational tax administrator into the payroll fund. This is to, cover the payroll mainly for the sheriff, that what we had in there is running down, and we're needing to move some more in there.
What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve the transfer, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. You need that or Melanie?
Yeah, I do.
Public Property Corporation Funds.
This is a year-end recap of the funds that, this is the bonds that we refinanced in the public properties name. The Bank of Benton account, the bond redemption account, has an ending balance of $247,054. That remains intact in the Public Properties Corporation name. The Bank of New York ends with a zero fund balance. Those were paid off with the bond refinance. And the Huntington National Bank, the debt service fund is an ending balance of zero because it was also paid off.
Should be CFSP. Any questions on the Public Properties Corporation Funds? Do you need a motion?
Yes.
Need a motion to approve?
Make a motion, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 212.
This is the similar recap for fiscal year ending 2012 for the new general obligation bonds for the Judicial Center. The U.S. Bank account number 159475000. The payment fund had an ending balance June 30th of $2. U.S. Bank account number 159475001. The issuance fund had a balance of $1,136 June 30th. These are just reports that the auditor's office requires us to do and get approved.
All right. Need a motion to approve the report on the General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 2012.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Fund Receipts Report. Which one is that, this one?
Yeah, it's all of this.
Okay.
These are just some issues that I've noticed within the budget that I wanted to make you aware of. Fiscal court filming was omitted from our budget preparation. We need to make plans to figure out how to cover that overage. Plant managers meeting will be covered by a check that we have already received. I just have to amend it in. Other buildings and repairs will have an expenditure for $2,820 that had a zero budget. So we will have to make arrangements to cover that. And ambulance service, some grant purchased equipment, we have a negative balance of $16,017.99 in that will be washed as we receipt in and amend in the check that we will get to cover those that equipment that we'll be receiving. Another notable subject with in the receipts for the health insurance reimbursement, we typically get between $140,000 and $150,000 back from the Kentucky State Treasurer through the health insurance program, and we budgeted $140,000, and I feel like that we're probably going to fall between $15,000 and $20,000 short of that for the year, so that's a loss that we need to anticipate. And our jail allotment was $2,000.94 shy of what we had budgeted also.
The health insurance reimbursement, we got our check, and that was $63,000. For our first check, $63,711.83, which was down from our first payment a year ago. So we anticipate the second payment will be down as well. So that's where we come up with looking at about a $20,000 shortfall. Of course, the jail fund, depending on state prisoners up and down. Whether or not we can recover this, time will tell.
One thing on that, Judge, according to, in our meetings, it indicated anyway, corrections had not, all redone that contract with the private prisons. Two of them have been,
Two of them. One is not up yet. They have not said they're not gonna
Right.
renew them, but they have not renewed them as of our meeting last 2 weeks ago.
that's correct.
We got the same report in our, general membership meeting.
So, that, I don't know if that's gonna help us to hold some state prisoners.
Well, I think it will,
Hopefully.
if they will let us have the prisoners rather than the
Right.
privates.
Right.
It will help us tremendously.
Of course, they're releasing a lot too.
They are, early release, and, when they come back as county prisoners
correct.
and not as state prisoners. So we start that that process all over again. Do you need a motion to accept the fund receipts report?
Make a motion, Judge.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Is that it? We have, okay, we had talked about cleaning, bidding cleaning supplies. Emily has put together, did you put this together? Put together a list from each of the departments, from E911, Animal Shelter, Road Department, Parks Department. Have y'all had an opportunity to look that over and to see if that's what you want to go to bid on?
Emily, did you want to make this,
I feel like the list of the cleaning supplies, I'm afraid when we get into bidding cleaning supplies that we may run into a little bit more trouble down the road, just because, I know, say at the Parks Department, they are already very cost conscious out there, and they know that these garbage bags may be cheaper, but they wind up using more of them. So, I feel like it may be fine to bid these items, but I'm not sure that we need to lock ourselves into forcing the departments to use some particular item just because it may be cheaper. And some of the items are very specific and some of the items are very vague. So I'm not sure how this will turn out for us, but I don't think it can hurt to ask for pricing from different places.
So rather than go to bid, you're suggesting we shop it, price it,
Yes.
and make a
Yeah.
recommendation maybe to the departments to use?
get quotes?
Yes.
Anybody have a problem with that?
I think that's a good idea.
We had the last fiscal court meeting, y'all had approved the office supply listing. I feel like it's a little bit more specific and maybe easier to bid that one. But on the same note, I think we should see what we get in return and then make a decision.
Okay. All right. I don't think we need a motion, I don't think we need to advertise it. I mean, they're just gonna try to get quotes. If you advertise, you're gonna have to put it in the paper and list all these things.
Well, I wouldn't
Be
have any
pretty costly.
problem at any time when you bid, if you know of a particular material or bag or whatever that you want, I mean, you could be very specific and they can bid
Yeah,
that
exactly.
exact bag that you want and then see what you get. Wouldn't have any problem doing that at all. You wouldn't just have to say 33-gallon garbage bag.
Yeah.
You could say this garbage
But would you have a
bag.
problem with trying to price them
No,
out?
no, I
See?
wouldn't have any problem with us trying to price
Rather
them
than go
out.
out to bid on
No,
all stuff.
wouldn't have any problem with that, because we can, I think, probably do well doing that.
Okay.
Is that not going, we're not getting into a situation, Judge, where we would have to bid, you think? Do with Jeff?
Well, if you're going to get pricing from one entity,
It's gonna be a
where they're
lot.
guaranteeing it and it's over 20,000.
You gotta bid.
You'd have to bid it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, but Judge, I'm a little unclear, do we go ahead and ask for the pricing? Because is it likely to be more than that, Emily?
Well, if it is, then at that point, I'd
Then
say
we're
we
tainting
bid.
our, yeah, then we're tainting our,
bid process, I see. what
Can
you're
we
saying.
can we not look at our receipts, at our appropriations ledger now and determine if that's over the limit or not before we ask anyone for pricing?
Per item, none of them are gonna be over $20,000, but as a group and as a.
Yeah, that's what I'm
as
saying
an
is-
entity of a whole,
For the entire
We
county, though, if we
probably-
purchase from one place, it's gonna be more than
we
that
probably
probably.
would be.
Right,
Would-
and the key
and
is
if-
not, the key is not necessarily the items, but the entities.
As a whole.
Right. You're buying all this stuff from one company, or can buy it all from one company, you're getting pricing on it, then you need to bid it. So, you know.
Okay. Well, I mean, I thought they were looking at quoting as many different places as they could and
And you're
scattering
not
this out.
tying
and-
yourself
and
to
taking-
any one,
not
no,
tying
that's
to anybody.
different.
I think that's what they were talking
Yeah, I
about
think
doing,
that's
so we
what
can do that,
we're-
right?
Yeah,
And
that's what I think we're doing now, if you wanna, I'm
Yeah.
not talking
Send it-
about buying
send
from
it out
one
to-
individual
Right.
company.
Jeff,
Okay.
the
Get
the
quotes from
auditors,
anybody.
Yep.
the auditors told me when I was sheriff that if I bought like a computer from one store, and then I bought another from another, and another from another in the same year, and all three of those cost over the limit,
Yep.
then I should have bid them,
That's exactly what they.
But if you're buying them from different
different people.
vendors,
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Said if I'm spending over the limit for computers in one year, and I said, well, I didn't know I was gonna buy the third one because I didn't know this one was gonna break down. Said, doesn't matter. If you buy over the limit, said you'd have to wait and replace that one after the first of the year. You can't go over the limit. You'd have to bid it. Even though they cost each one of them individually cost under the limit. But if I buy enough to go over the limit,
I knew
then I have
that
to
was
bid
true
it.
if
But I
you
said, I
buy
didn't know I
them,
was gonna do that.
if you get pricing on each, for all of
Mm-hmm.
them, and it goes over. I agree, or like if in a construction project, you can't go buy your blocks at one place and your concrete, and
Right.
just to get that, to keep it all under. But those, I'd be interested to know what their source is for saying that in regard to things that you don't budget
And
specifically.
if you're not intentionally doing that.
You don't have the key there is a guaranteed price,
Right.
Right.
that you're not, it prevents there from being some type of, favor or kickback or something like that.
I think haven't they told you the same thing, Kevin?
Same thing, but then again, we also get into interpretation of what the auditors think, cause they don't all think the same, and that's one thing that Adam
Right. I mean,
Edelman
things
is
change
very
from
big
year to
on
year
right now
on-
is consistency within his office.
so we'll be okay to get bids and just
But
give
it-
those to the departments and say, here's what the
Here's-
pricing
Get quotes
is from
instead of
these
bids.
Yeah.
various
Quotes.
vendors that we already use, but for your own reference, this is who has it at a more
Yes,
competitive
I think
price or
that would
something.
be okay.
The problem,
You're not, and
and
you're
I
not,
know Adam's saying he wants consistency, but it's hard to have consistency when he deals with so many auditing firms around the state that are not directly
I agree.
under his jurisdiction. Now, Emily and I just met with,
Well, see, we're different because the state always audits us.
I understand,
Always.
but they don't always send you the same auditing firm.
No,
Right.
He always gets the state auditor.
No, we
You,
get the,
okay,
we
so all-
exclusively get state
Oh,
auditors.
okay, all right, see, we've
Yeah.
been getting a group out of Louisville,
Mhm.
and we met with a group that does audits for all of our surrounding counties, that actually, they live in our county, and their office is in Mayfield, and they wanted to be considered, which, I've talked to several of the judges, they're very happy with these people, they say they come in, they get their work done, and they're gone. When they come from Louisville, we're paying travel from Louisville to wherever they stay, normally in Paducah. And then we're billed from the time they leave their hotel room till they get here, and then travel back. So, we feel like we're kind of getting, extra, having to pay extra.
Well, you look at what we had to do last year. I mean, the state was behind, and we had to end up paying for 3 audits last year.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's
so it's-
something beyond their control, but
Yeah, but what he was saying is that's the case that they've always told me. If you buy a particular item, and if it's 3 different places you buy it from, and those 3 items are exactly the same and go over that limit, should have bid it.
Yeah.
Well, how in the world are you gonna anticipate that? You can't.
All right. All right, you've had an opportunity to review the bills. Do I hear a motion to pay the bills?
Motion to pay the bills, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Any further business come before the court? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Means adjourned.